Assalamu alaikum. My name is Safiya Adidis. I'm the creator of Shahya Sheka. Today's topic is going to be about pregnancy, childbirth, postpartum, and breastfeeding. So I wanted to do this video today because, like, as much as pregnancy and birth is celebrated, I realize in the community or like in our families and friend groups, we don't discuss it that much. And I'm not a mom right now, but I see like my peers, they're becoming new moms. My cousins are becoming moms or moms for the second time, and they've like told me so many things that our aunts didn't tell us, and like our moms and grandmas. So I was wondering, like, why is there so much, not secrecy, but like there's not that much conversation around pregnancy and childbirth. So I brought you guys together today. I'm gonna let you introduce yourselves, and then we can get started.
I'm Jawahir. I have a 1.5-year-old daughter.
I'm Faisa, and I have 2 children. My oldest is 14, my youngest is 10, and I'm a licensed midwife in Washington.
And my name is Akan. I have 3 daughters. The oldest is 5, a 2.5-year-old, and a 5-month-old.
And my name is Sahara. I have 2 children, and a boy and a girl. My son is going to be 3 in March, and my daughter is 4.
All right. So when you guys first found out you were pregnant, were you comfortable asking the woman in your life about pregnancy, or was it like hush hush?
I think I was. I grew up with my aunt, and she had like 5 kids back to back, right? And so when I first got pregnant, and actually before I got pregnant, so when I first got married, the conversation of like birth control came up, right? And I was like, Mom and Aunt, I think I'm gonna get birth control and like try this whole marriage thing out first, and then have kids. And she's like, nah, yeah, you gotta try your body, and how do you're gonna have kids? And like, so we actually talked about like whether I should use birth control or not. And then I think after that, like within a few months, like I got pregnant. And so I was pretty open with like asking them, because I was sick like right away, and I was like, I don't know what's going on with my body. And I was throwing up. And so my mom was like, I had the same thing with all 7 of you, the children in the family. And so it was a back and forth conversation, at least within my family, because I was going through a phase of like first child, sick all the time, not knowing what to do, how to act, what to do, right? And so yeah, they were pretty like open about, at least like, no, it's not that serious. Like if you get sick, just eat, do stuff. I don't think they had actual like strategy. It was more of like, we go through it worse. You hear more of the conversations about, oh, back home, girl, you have a fridge here, you have Starbucks here.
Yeah, now we have more resources.
Yeah, back home there wasn't enough resources, so it was more of like that guilt trip of like, okay, maybe I shouldn't feel how I feel, right? I should suck it up. I need to be strong. And I think it was like, that was the expectation, that a part of being a mom and getting ready to bring a child into this world was to experience this like toughness of like, if you're carrying a child and you're sick, don't complain about it. And for me, like being sick was the standard, like for all of my kids, and just being okay with it, and just making sure that you toughen yourself, because childbirth is worse. So like, so in my process of being sick, I'm like, no, Willie has got it, that quote of like, you weren't even there yet. And I'm like, what? And then when you give birth, it's like, you weren't even there yet. So it was this whole thing like, oh, worse is coming. Like the wave hasn't hit yet. The storm hasn't hit yet, right?
I have 2 older sisters too, so that helped. And my mom, I think, like most Somali moms, there isn't preparation of like that happens. For instance, like getting the first menstrual cycle and getting pregnant, like even labor and delivery. Like I don't think there's like preparation that moms do in our communities. It's sort of like when things happen, then that's when they're when they'll say something. So but my sisters were really helpful because they've already had children by then, and I could ask them, and I did a lot of self like reading, things like that, which helped. But later on, when I would have something and mom would remember a similar situation that she had, then she will share. But there wasn't like, okay, so now you got married, this is what, if you get pregnant, this is what happens. Like there wasn't like, preparation like that, but she definitely, like sharing similar experiences and things like that. So, yeah.
Right. And you get pregnant, right? And you start going to the hospital appointments. What was that like navigating it?
I was excited. Yeah, I don't know why, but I had all these questions for my midwife, and it was my first pregnancy, but a lot of my other friends already went through pregnancy, so they're like, when you go, okay, this is your 20-week appointment or whatever, and make sure you ask this question. So I don't know, I was excited and I was comfortable. Yeah. So.
Yeah, I was really excited too. I remember downloading like 2-3 different baby apps, and one compares it to a fruit, and the other one compares it to like an animal. And, you know, you're like taking all these weekly pictures. And you're like, I don't see a bump. I don't still see a bump. And so I was really, really excited too. Just the part that I wish I could change looking back is I really wish I did get to experience a midwife versus having an OB. I felt like a lot of my appointments were kind of rushed. And a lot of the talking I was doing with the nurse. And even that was like really rushed. Like all they had to tell me was, you need to gain weight. Like it just felt like it was, you need to gain weight. And I'm like, well, I'm throwing up, you know, everything was just kind of like brushed off. But I was excited, and I was excited for that.
What's the difference between a OBGYN and midwife for people who don't know?
It's
So OBGYNs, they're obstetricians, so they are they're surgeons that are that specialize in like women's reproductive system, and they do see women, but mainly they are known to be surgeons. And midwives are there are different types of midwives. The type of midwife I am is a direct entry midwife, so I'm a licensed midwife. I skipped that nursing part of it and went directly to just study midwifery. And I do out-of-hospital births, I do home births, and I do birth center births. And then there are CNMs, or certified nurse midwives, who mainly work in the hospital. And those midwives, they had to, you know, become a nurse and then a midwife. So there's difference in like the number of, you know, number of births we had to have in order to graduate. For instance, the CNMs, I think they need to pretty much just do like 25 births, whereas direct entry midwives, in order to sit for the national exam, we have to have 100 births. So, you know, like, so it's different, but then again, the CNMs have that nursing backing with them as well, where we don't. So that's what some of the big differences are. Yeah.
Did you guys have those, like OBGYNs or midwives?
So I had an OBG, and I remember thinking, and I looked at the difference between the two, and I'm like, you know what, I want to do natural birth. I experienced my sister giving birth, who had a doula, and so like seeing my sister give birth, and like she had amazing support. Her doula was so supportive. I think for me, I was so sick, like throughout my whole pregnancy and miserable, that I just wanted to give birth. So for me, it's like I didn't really care about the luxury of like an OBG or a midwife. Like I wish I had time to think about it and select my option. But I had an OBG, and I think I saw her a couple of times. I was never consistent with my appointments. I thought, like, they tell you the same thing over and over again. So for me, I would actually skip appointments on purpose, because I'm like, I got things to do. I'd rather take a nap and stay home. It was dreadful for me to like go to these appointments. Like I already knew like what my body was telling me. Like I followed these apps, right? I just, like, for me, it's like I just wanted to give birth, and so the OBG was an option for me.
And like, yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
You can go.
Okay, so the provider in me says that it's really important to keep your prenatal visits, right?
I know.
because there are a lot of things that do
Yeah.
arise, and you know, and these things are better managed when they're new than when when you have it full blown, right? So very important for people to keep their prenatal visits. And you know, there's a lot that goes on, like you were saying earlier, Joy. You know, like they're kept telling you to gain weight. We don't just tell you to gain weight. We talk about what you can do to gain weight, you know, depending on like the diet that you adhere to. So we have people that do different diets now, you know, people who are vegan, right? So if I knew you're vegan, I would know something about that too, so that I can have a discussion of certain foods that you can eat to still help you gain weight. So it's not all about just telling, you know, clients what to do, or we prefer calling patients, clients, because they are our clients, they hired us, right? So automatically as a midwife, you know, it's all about empowering the women. And while you are the provider, but at the same time, we're in it together. So giving that autonomy to the women that she is our client. So it's all about, you know, working around you. So, and when you come to these visits, that's what happens, right? Like the prenatal visits.
Right.
There are a lot of women who feel healthy enough, you know, that things can just happen in pregnancy because your body is like, it's being wired in an unusual way during pregnancy that things are okay one moment, the next moment, you know, may God forbid things can go off. So not everybody should not come to their
right. But I also think that building like that relationship is important.
Yeah.
Because I think like for my first baby, I was super proactive. Right, it's the first baby. The second baby, I felt like there was a mistrust in the system of like the care that I was receiving, and so I was pretty adamant about like, I don't know. So there was a mistrust there, and I didn't feel as supported, and therefore I felt like I didn't need to have my weekly or bi-weekly, right?
Yeah.
And just like the whole messaging of like, so my second daughter, they told me very insensitively that something was wrong with her, that she had a diagnosis, and I mean, I was only like, 5 months pregnant, and I was like sick and ill for like 4 months, and then later on finding out, oh, actually no, there's nothing really wrong, right? So even with messaging like that, like how do you give parents these messages without like, because that's your whole life, right? Like you're carrying a child and like going to bed every night and thinking, oh my god, like I'm probably gonna have a child, alhamdulillah, right? But I'm probably gonna have a child with Down syndrome, right? Like that's not a good feeling, right? So by my third child, I'm like, F the system. I'm gonna go to my first couple of visits to make sure that my baby's fine, and then after that I'm going to take care of myself. So like I just had this whole attitude of I'm good. So I think it's important that if you are going to have a provider or OBG or a midwife, that they are sensitive to how they come off and that you are their client, right?
That's right. Yeah, that's actually that's a good point you bring out because, you know, I mean, it's no secret that there are a lot of there's so much disparity when it comes to the, you know, maternity system in this country, that, and especially for Black and brown women, and big reason is because of that trust. Big reason is because of that, like unwelcomed, like feeling as if, you know, the mom is being blamed for not gaining weight, for not for being anemic, for, you know what I mean,
or even having another child that quick. Like I remember the first message that and I changed that provider. I changed like 3 providers like back to back.
Good for
but she
you.
said,
That's good.
I thought you said that you're gonna start birth control. And by the way, I got pregnant with my birth control, and I'm like, yeah, I did. Right? And so she was just like, I think it's really important that, you know, that you spent time to take care of yourself. Like, you're telling me all the things that I wanted to do, right? And so just making me feel even more guilty that that I'm bringing another child into this world, right?
Yeah.
And so,
and I think you really hit on the relationship part, because it gets tiring, and I could see why you would skip appointments, because I come in and it's like, oh, you talk to the nurse, you tell them all the symptoms, and they make you feel like, oh, you're feeling like this, and the doctor will come in and be like, it's all normal. Like, you know, you just got to work on gaining weight. It's all normal. And I'm like, this is not normal to me. It's my first child. I don't know what I'm doing, you know. I don't know what's going on with my body. I don't know. You're not explaining anything to me. So that's kind of why I wish, because I've been hearing a lot of stories about how midwives take the time to, like, get to know you, talk to you. It's like, I even heard someone tell me that when you give birth, you meet the entire, like, team of midwives, because you don't know who you're gonna get on the night that you give birth, so you meet everybody. With an OB, she just told me, like, if you deliver on day this and this, it's me. And if it's not, it'll be one of the other 7. Here are their names. And I'm like, okay, like, I'm just hoping and wishing it's not a guy, right? Because there's one guy on there. So it just feels, it's a big disconnect. And I wish she would have taken the time to be like, hey, here's your diet, you know. Maybe if you tried this, you wouldn't be throwing up 24/7 if, you know, you did this and this. And I really, like, that's the next route that I would take next time.
How was that experience different for, like, moms that don't know English? Like, what do you two see?
I think there's a bias in this field, in this hospital, that Somalis or women that look like us are perceived as careless, and we don't know family planning, and giving birth or like just having children is the norm, and not understanding that every child that we bring into this world we value, right? And it doesn't happen by accident, right? Because I get this conversation about, oh, what do you guys think of, like, in a respectful way, like, what do you guys think about, like, birth control in your culture? Is it like against your religion, right? And so I think when these moms who, this is baby number 10, are coming in to Swedish or UW, right? They get this, like, the assumption is, oh, she doesn't care. She's bringing another child who's in the system. And a lot of these parents they are taking the system. And so I feel like a lot of these doctors and nurses look at them as, you're taken away from taxpayer dollars, right? And so I don't know, I feel that as somebody who has like 7 siblings, and I see all these mamoys, and I
think it's because Catholic families have more children too. So, and you don't see them experiencing some of the things that our sisters are experiencing. I think this definitely has to do with the skin pigmentation. That these people are doing this, and definitely they do that to us. They look at us and they think we don't understand. You know what I mean? Because of the scarf on our head. So definitely our sisters do have it worse. And I think nowadays, the past few years, it's even more apparent, right? Like, you see people who are they're not inhibiting their feelings for you. It's right there. There was an incident. This is like, because I worked as a medical interpreter. I'm a certified medical interpreter. I worked as such in the past, and this is actually what got me interested in the line of work that I do. This is like early, late 1999, early 2000s. That's when I worked. I worked as an interpreter until 2007, and some of the things that I would see, you know what I mean, and some of the things that I've heard from other people, nurses that work with our communities, it's just, the stories are so horrific, and you see, a freaking 23-year-old medical resident student telling a mom of 5 children, like, what to do with her body, you know what I mean? It's just like, seriously, so it's really degrading, and that's one thing I wish the medical system, changes. And it's great that they go to all these numbers of school, they get all this experience, but I wish they had experience of how to deal with people too, because
people of color,
people of color, like going back to my point, the fact that it's no secret that Black women are 3 to 4 times more likely to die of childbirth. In America, and like where America ranks in the maternal like internationally, it's no secret. It's because of this. It's race. Race is like such a big factor, that people are. Imagine a woman who's had a lot of this, pushbacks. She's not going to go to the doctors, if she has problems. She'll just stay, and she'll go when it's too late, because she knows she's not going to be welcomed, or, like just some of the stuff that they say, oh, let's put in an IUD right after the baby comes out. And it's like, why don't you ask the women, like, as a doctor, all you can do is just tell them, like, from your own perspective, why you think this woman should, you know what I mean? But not push these ideas on the women. But the way they just approach, it's disrespectful. Yeah.
With me, I don't even have to reach far, and I can't even imagine, like, women that don't even speak English, because I felt like they weren't even listening to me, and I speak English, and I knew what was going on, and I felt like, whoa, like, I don't want you to deliver my child at some point. So I can't even imagine feeling the way I was feeling and not even being able to communicate or understand. That's crazy.
I feel like when I first became a birth doula, after experiencing the birth of my own daughter, Faiza was my doula. And I saw what she did for my birth, and I was like, okay, I have to do this. And everybody has to have one. Because it's like so important. And
can you tell us what a doula is?
Basically, a doula is a woman or a person who supports a mother during her emotionally, physically, and mentally through the whole pregnancy and labor postpartum process. Even when I still have clients that hit me up and their baby's like 2 years old, like, hey, you want to come to the birthday party? I'm like, hey, you still remember?
That is so cute.
Yeah, but I went into this field because I want to make sure that every Somali mom knows all of her rights when she's pregnant. You have a lot of people don't know that the hospital that you choose to birth at is how you're going to give birth. That's the result of the birth that you're going to have. You like, if let's say if someone wanted a vaginal birth and they had a baby, they want to go to Overlake, even though they live all the way in Kent. If you look at Overlake Medical Center's statistical rates, their annual cesarean rate is crazy.
Is it higher than UW's?
No, higher. Well, UW I think it's high too, but it's because of they have a lot of high risk pregnancies, and so they like twins, quadruplets, premature, ectopic pregnancies, all that stuff. So that's the reason for that. But Evergreen and Overlake is like super high.
Why is that?
Just the providers.
And they also get paid more, right? So
they get paid more.
Who perform a cesarean gets paid more than a provider who delivers a vaginal.
Yeah. True. So I try to make sure that they know what hospital they're choosing, their rights. Like if they had a cesarean the last time, what was the reason behind it? Do you understand what was happening? Did you consent? Like do you know that you can say no to cesarean? Like sometimes, majority of the time, the provider just offers a cesarean and rolls you down to the operating room because they just want to be safe from a malpractice suit. And that's literally it. And I'll literally just look at the screen and be like, oh yeah, this is complete bullshit.
Right. What about, I'm curious to know that I hear from a lot of moms that they have this fear of if they don't choose a C-section and the baby dies during childbirth. She believes that this baby will come out and something happens, even though they advised her that a C-section would be, who is to blame?
There was just, because I'm in the middle of doing a new doula cohort, teaching new doulas. And just yesterday, somebody actually was saying that, you know, she wanted to say no, she wanted to wait, but they had asked her to sign, you know, the liability, whatever, a form that says, you know, if in the event something happens, it's on you. So this is one of those things that they use tactics they use to kind of bully you know couples into having C-section, but this is your decision. This is your baby. You're in the hospital. Therefore, you're not being a bad mom. And you know what I mean? All you're asking is, you know, if everything is well with me and baby, just give me time to to give it a try. But a lot of times they just overcome, and when they do this, you know, they scare the mom, and then the moms end up, you know, signing it. But I've seen, you know, there are, first of all, thank God for cesarean, right? C-section. There are times C-section is a must. It is a good, you know, surgery that helps save moms and babies a lot of times. But also, especially women in our community, we feel like it's happening to us at a higher rate for no apparent reason or for no good reasons, right? So, which is why now more and more, you know, Somali women are you know, looking into other options of just like going back to the same, you know, if you've had a C-section with a provider, you get pregnant, don't try to go back to them again. Most likely when you go back, they'll say, oh yeah, we'll let you have a VBAC, vaginal birth after C-section. But when you get to that 8 or 9 month, most likely they'll just tell you that they can't otherwise, you know.
They already have a C-section written in their head.
I've had multiple cases where it happened like that, where, you know, literally 2 weeks before due date, I had to help them find another providers. And that's the other thing, you know, it's okay to change providers. If this provider is not, you know, you're not meeting eye to eye, it's okay to get second opinion. It's okay to switch providers. Like the sister who I helped, you know, switch literally 2 weeks before her due date. She had a first C-section, and then she was pregnant again second time. She was wanting to do it naturally, vaginally, I should say. The doctor said yes. Last minute, doctor switched on her. stating that she was even lucky to be in this country, that in back home she could actually die with her baby, like crap like that. So and you have this woman calling crying, and that she doesn't want to change it. She thinks it's too late. And so I had her, helped her, connect her to other providers, and then another hospital, sure enough, took her in, and they were like, just make sure she brings her medical records. And then like less than 2 weeks later, she had her beautiful vaginal birth.
Wow.
So it happens. So being I always say doctors here are not like the ones back home. Ones back home, they actually do no harm. That's what they try to do. They actually care for you. But these doctors, you need to look after you. Don't expect the doctor to do it for you.
Yeah, I had a client, Somali client, and I think this was her 10th baby or 11th baby. It was so long ago, I don't remember. But I remember in the operating room, after she took the baby out, she said, might as well just do a hysterectomy. And she said, what did she say? How the hell? I was just shocked.
Yeah, that's inappropriate.
Like, it doesn't even make sense.
Did she do it?
No, she didn't.
So,
it's just crazy.
So
how
it's so
to a Somali
so
woman,
for.
you'll be shocked. Wallahi.
But the problem is, most of the time we don't report. We do not report. You know what I mean?
They should.
But we should. And that's the other thing. We don't want to report because we're like, maybe my cousin will come to this hospital. Maybe I'll come back and they'll put it in the system for me. They won't,
Or just the whole idea, like I hear mom saying, if I report the nurse, she knows the doctor. But so this whole fear of like.
But no, you can actually ask for, and it happened, like I'm sure it happened with you, multiple times where like when a nurse because we speak for our clients, when a nurse and you get into each other, like, just one time they just left, and then the nurse was changed. A new nurse came in because the doctor himself felt that this woman was was crossing out a line, and sometimes we have to voice that too and tell the nurse what you're doing is not right.
Awesome. How soon can somebody switch from an OBG to a midwife or even ask for a doula? Because when I asked for a doula, because I forgot to ask for one, they're like, it's too late. We already have things going and things is going pretty fast. And this is the day before I think I was giving birth because I was over my due date. And so I was like, I actually want a doula. I was a little bit scared because my blood sugar was high. And so she was like, no, it's a little bit too late and we have to find them. And she pretty much told me no.
No, it's never too late to get a doula.
That's right.
Even the day that you're giving birth, you can call.
I had people call me while they're in labor.
New clients.
It just depends on whether, because you don't tell them about out-of-pocket doulas versus
so when those scenarios, when they happen, they usually call me from the Swedish doula program, or they know someone that knows me and they refer me to them, basically.
Because doulas are, for so long, doulas were this luxury thing, right? That only Caucasian women could afford, right? Because they are out-of-pocket fee. Insurance does not cover them. But we have organizations like ours, Global Perinatal Services, that provide doula services to low-income women. Especially our organization, we serve immigrant and refugee women. So with these women, we do provide them, free of charge. We try to match people based on language, things like that. But for a lot of people, it's out of pocket. So if, for instance, if you have private insurance,
private insurance covers it, right?
Private insurance doesn't cover it, but they will cover it under your FSA.
Oh, gotcha. Okay. If you have an FSA.
What do you guys say to women like myself who've never had a doula? But I remember when like my sister-in-law was telling me about one, I just in my head it was like, here goes another extra person in the room while I'm going to be like looking my absolute worst, stressed out, having a panic attack, and it just kind of feels like extra people. What would you say to those type of women and that type of thinking?
To be honest, I try not to pressure anyone to have a doula. It's basically on their preference, but I would like for them to know what they have before turning it down. Some people be like, oh, I don't want to do that because I don't want them to touch me. I don't need to touch me. Touch me. If you don't want a massage, that's fine. I can still do words of encouragement, sense and whatever. Yeah.
That's good to know because I hate people touching me when I give birth. I'm one of those
when you're in
people
pain.
that when I'm in pain, I get a pillow and I scream in the pillow.
Yeah.
And I don't want anybody near me. I don't care who you are.
So, like, doulas, right? So this is a good question.
Yeah.
This is a really good question because a lot of times, because people are really private, you know, especially like up to Hannah, you know, and then also you don't want, and then also there's that notion of like the community is so small. What if this person kind of leaks something about me, right?
Yeah. So my vagina to the whole maybe 1,000 times.
No, she's actually right because that was my section.
That was my
I heard. Like, I mean, I knew you were a doula. There was an aunt of mine who's a doula, so I'm like,
No,
that was like, okay,
that's my thinking. That's my thinking. Like here I am, I'm probably gonna be naked, you know, and like I got so much going on, and there's already like so and so who's in the room, and then here's an extra person that I know from middle school that's like looking at me sweating.
So this is what it is, right? Doulas are very professional women, right? And honestly, most of the time, you know, if you want to just take a step back, providers are dad galaway. At least go to middle school you know who she is, right? So and the other thing is that doulas are like their position giving birth is like here
at their head.
They're never going to be up here unless you tell her, Sarah, go look what what are they doing, right? Yeah. Pull the baby out.
And they tell me, hey, QC
Feeding.
the head?
Is that okay? And then you do that. Yeah.
Wow.
And then you do that.
Wow.
But most of the time it's and you have to also realize this is not our first rodeo, right? This is not like the doulas have worked with other women, and you know, and nobody's interested in another woman's vagina, honestly. You know, like you got one, you got one too, yeah. But the other thing is, I feel like because they've done studies, because you know, in America, if you don't do study on something, that thing is not valid. You know, like Maria was saying earlier, like what's going on with all this, you know, new whatever,
the water.
because they just do the research and find out all the benefits. You know, anyways. So with they find out just having a third person in the room, you know, especially a woman, like a birthing woman's demeanor changes like completely. You know, like just having someone else in the room with you, and also the providers, especially these type of providers that we're talking about. Sometimes they do take a step back. You know what I mean? Like
because you know the system, you know the right.
So it's
I'm
like
getting
a
both
witness.
of y'all next time. I know. In 5 years.
So it's like a witness. And then the other thing is, like Sarah was saying earlier, you know, it's somebody whose whole job is to be with the mom, right? So they can come over to you before you even go to the hospital or the birth center, whatever. They'll come help you labor out at home. The best to labor out at home than rush, right? And then the other thing is that, you know, they make sure that you're staying hydrated because it's important, right? They're making sure that you're eating well. Sometimes, you know, like your partner, men get flustered like when they see you in pain. You know what I mean? And so, and even the doula, she's there to like give him a little break because she knows once she leaves you guys after the birth, he's gonna be the one helping you. So that's what the break is, you know. So she's there to help him out too. And then the other thing is, as far as resource connecting you into the community. Like they connect so many resources in the community with the women, you know. Like it's like if you're looking for like mom and baby whatever group, Sarah more likely will know where that is. You know what I mean? And
I actually give all my clients a postpartum resource packet.
There you go.
All resources, all lined up to books, apps, podcasts, everything. You can think of,
Our doulas know like where to get diapers, for instance. You know, they know where to get like.
If you need a crib.
That's right. If women need a crib, you know, things like that. So it's not all about, you know, and during the labor, everybody labors differently. And at some moments you might not need touch, you know, but she's still there encouraging. Like you were saying, you put your face in a pillow. She'll just tell you, you know what? The more you relax, you know, the more you. So things like that. So they're really, really trained in like how to like every woman's labor differently and how to approach you differently to like help you be in, you know, progress in a very comfortable way. So I would encourage everybody to hire one, even if, you know what I mean, at least entertain interviewing them if you don't want, and you don't have to hire someone that you went to middle school with.
But I think that's important because I thought about that, like, because I know Sahara and I know the other lady, and I'm just like, yeah, no Somalis, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
But I think, I think we need to give our own community that space to do what they love to do. If we're willing to give a white woman, and I just going back to like, I feel like we have this colonized mindset of like, a white woman does it better, right? Like, who told you that white woman's not gonna walk away talking about your B, right? Like, she will, she probably will. Talk about your family and how many kids you have, right? And so I think it's important.
At least we have kind of got, you know, the religion stopping us.
Right? We fear Allah.
Dadka caddaanka ah waxay cabsanayaan male. And you think dadka caddaanka inay hadlin?
Oh yeah.
Wax ka gaasib badan adduunka ma jiro, you know?
As soon as I get to that break room.
I'm serious. Did you see so, out there? Yeah. Like,
Mess.
Yes. And we need to stop this mentality of white being better. Right?
Yeah.
White being better. No, that we have people in our communities who are amazingly bright. Right? And if you wanna change the state that you're in, it has to come from within. Don't wait for you know, to change your situation. It's never gonna happen. You know? So it's always like turn into your community. You know, turn into your community. You have people who are like different sector of services that you have, like right now in the state of the Somali in Seattle. I mean, it's amazing. I'm like, and most of them, like 95% of them is like women too, right? Which is even like awesome. So always like, don't degrade yourself, you know, like put yourself, because if you put yourself in a higher pedestal, other people will look at you like that too. We have to stop this mentality of being refugees, and you know what I mean? Like,
we don't know. They know better.
Yeah. So I can go on forever about this white mentality.
Faiza, I think you're very familiar about the situation when every time there's a Somali client asking for a doula, and then they try to match them because they're Somali, and they're like, oh no, I don't want her, I don't want any Somali. And then the Adam lady's like, what's going on? Like, this is like too much. Like, is something wrong with you guys? You know this many people? It's so embarrassing, wallahi. And it's like,
you know, my answer to that? To that is, if you are that person that talks about other people, then you're gonna think everyone is like that too. So that type of women, good riddance. You know, it's better. Because if you're thinking like that, if you prefer Adan over me, then there's something really wrong with you too.
Where do you think that mistrust comes from? Like, with working with your own people?
I think it's tribalism.
No.
I think before tribalism, just we talk about like mental health in class, right? Just the basic of like a mom saying, I'm a mother, I'm going through it. I cannot call my neighbor or my friend and tell her my situation because I know she's gonna run with it and tell the whole city. So I feel like maybe I don't know. I just think that there's a mistrust within our community that the people who have the power or who can uplift you won't uplift you, and they use that to hurt you. And I think that we either have seen our mothers go through that or our aunts go through that. And I think as young like immigrant girls who grew up in this country, we look at another, unless like you have that really close friend that you trust, right? I'm not gonna just call you and be like, hey, Sahara, you know, like I'm going through this thing, even though I know that's your expertise, not knowing that you're probably gonna run with that in. I feel like there's this fear, whether it's a therapist, whether it's even an imam, of asking about like marriage questions. We don't ask for anything anymore because of this, because there is a mistrust in our community. Like there's
why
more
you
people.
Think that mistrust is there though.
I feel like we have an issue in our community. I don't know if it's a tribalism thing. I don't know if it's the fact that we've all been traumatized. Like just going back to like trauma. The fact that we all came here with these traumatic experiences. I think everybody's trying to survive, and so some people I think use that in a way to make themselves feel better, right? Like one family who's going through the exact same thing as what you're going through, right? And that you just called and to ask about like, what do I do? My teenage son is doing this. Is laughing. Matter of fact, she's talking about you, but her son is doing the exact same thing, right? And so I think our community is depressed. I think they have PTSD. I think the way in which they act is not who they are, but I think this is coming out because of our traumas, because we don't talk about our experiences, and so therefore we've taken that up. Like as young girls who grew up in those households, like we're afraid. We're afraid. And I have no aisle. Like right?
And sometimes we don't even go through that trauma ourselves, but we see our family members go through that trauma, and we're just into this in the generation.
We're in it. Actually, we go through that trauma, because we're in those households. households, right?
Yeah.
So whether you're
There you
born
go,
in
yeah, that's
Somalia
true
or
too,
not,
yeah.
right? The fact that you have a mom and dad who heard gunshots,
Yeah.
who saw bodies, and I don't want to like go into details,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Who haven't had a way to talk about how tribalism, how war, how
Affected,
violence
yeah.
has affected them, how coming to this country as a refugee from multiple refugee camps,
Yeah.
as an immigrant, like our parents carry so much loads of
Yeah.
trauma
Yeah.
that iya school mashghulan, right?
Yeah.
It's like
True.
instead of everybody
True.
saying, okay, I need to deal with the fact that I lost my brother, right? I lost my whole family because of Qabil, right? I need to deal with what we lost in my country so that I can have a successful life in the US, right? قف قصصكم مشغولة. أو هبل ما مقشة. عيالك يا كهلابة.
Yeah.
كي كلام مقشة.
Lack of compassion.
Yeah.
There's a
lack
big
of
lack of
compassion,
compassion
yeah,
too.
and empathy.
Like I would not call, like I'm not gonna call people that I feel like are gonna tell me, oh, but you know, I've had it worse, you know, or I don't want to share with you if you can't even say, I know, I understand it's hard.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just need someone to just say,
Yeah.
I get it,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
And if I'm not going to get compassion and instead I'm scared that you're going to actually laugh at me and take and
Yeah.
run with it, then no, I'm not going to ask for help.
Right.
That's like everybody's
Yeah.
mindset.
And this culture of like talking about like
Yeah, things.
things
Yeah.
is inappropriate.
Yeah,
Like,
it's
Yeah.
inappropriate.
saying that
yeah.
I'm in a relationship that's unhealthy
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
I'm going through depression, like it's unacceptable.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
marka صدحها وأنا حيرتها, like
'Cause you're weak, right?
It's
Yeah.
a sign of weakness.
Yeah.
So,
Strong.
so our
Yeah.
parents have come into this country with that,
Yeah.
and then we're trying to act like we're also
It's
strong.
not only
Yeah.
a sign of weakness, it's a
Yeah.
sign of like how other people will see us.
Yeah.
Too.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
this is why a lot of times people don't seek the help that they need. The reason why I said earlier that I think it's stemming from tribalism is because if you're my cousin, Joahid, I will trust you more than I
That's
do
not
to
true.
Sarah. Right? No, seriously. Because if you're my cousin,
You're
most
fed
of the
that.
time,
You're fed that. You're fed that.
You're fed that, and like you will keep things from me
Yeah.
than Sarah would.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's like
Because you'll bring shame on our family.
yeah,
that
our
I
name,
will,
our
you know.
umbrella, yeah.
So you
yeah.
keep it within the family.
That's
Yeah,
right.
yeah. So I can trust you to not say anything because, you know.
In my or whatever.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. There you go.
It's that another mentality.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but
Yeah,
let
let it go.
Let it go. Yeah.
How does this show up in postpartum? Like the lack, like the shame and all that,
Not
and the lack
asking
of
for
trust
help.
for each other.
Not asking for help. And just
How was your
like,
experience?
I mean, I had, again, my mom, and I'm blessed to have so many sisters, so, like, getting a lot of help with their chores and things, but the one thing that I've noticed through my birth and the birth of my friends is that in our culture, we don't respect each other's space, right? Like, someone just gave birth, and I'm guilty of that too, because when I hear, like, before I had my baby, I would hear, like, so-and-so gave birth, and I'm like, oh, I can't wait to see them. I want to show them I care by visiting, by bringing things, but it's actually the complete opposite. Like, please let me get space, right? Like, let me figure out this crying thing. Let me figure out the different cues of my baby. Let me just get some space. And in our culture, we feel like not seeing someone within the first week that they gave birth is it's bad.
Yeah.
Oh, so-and-so gave birth. I need to go to the hospital. And then our hospital door is like a revolving door. People are just in and out, in and out, in and out. And you're just like, I have not slept, you know?
Yeah.
So it's a
Yeah.
lot. It's a lot. And that I feel like that plays a big part of like stress, and with all the hormones and emotions, it's crazy. I'm grateful for all the support I've had, but I do remember I gave birth at like 6 a.m. and I started having visitors like 9 a.m.
Oh wow.
Like 9 a.m. and it was a Thursday, so it just continued into Friday, and then I came home and it just it was a weekend, so everyone's like, oh, it's a weekend, let's go visit, you know, and it just. And I get it. Like, I know people are trying to be supportive, and I know you want to come, and you want to see the baby, and you want to bring me things, and thank you. But we need to think about, does the mother want us to come?
Yeah.
And why is it so bad if I'm like, you call and say, I want to see you, and I say, come, just not a good time for me.
Yeah.
Why is that so bad?
True. You know what's interesting? I was actually reflecting on this because my third baby, I healed quicker. I was on my feet. Like, first baby, I went through postpartum and I didn't know why. Like, I was unhappy.
Yeah.
One, because when the baby's sleeping, the whole city is at the house and talking. And I was at my mom's house, and she lived in the heart of Rainier Vista. So even if they visited yesterday, they're coming back again today for Shaki Shako. Like, seriously, right? And then So then I'm up all day when everybody's there, and then by the time the baby's sleeping, there's more guests. And your body, like you're not in tune with your body, you're tired. I was sad, and I couldn't get it. And my mom's like, no, you can't leave the house for 40 days. You're heal, and there's some truth to healing, right? After giving birth, but at the same time, I felt like I was between the room and like the walls of the room, and like losing my mind, and like the living room with like 101 noises and like people coming in and out. And then baby number 2, it was a lot better. I was at my house. I refused to go to my mom's house. It was a lot better. I felt like I didn't go through, and I felt like I knew what postpartum was then. When the first baby, I was like, oh, I heard about this postpartum stuff. Shine got that. But I was going through it. I was saying I don't have it because I was going through it. And my daughter was also in and out of the hospital for jaundice. So I was exhausted. I was tired. Baby number 2, I was like, I don't want to feel like this, right? And so as soon as I had the baby, like just knowing like how to take care of myself, knowing that if I'm tired, guess what? I'm going to go take a nap. And if people are visiting me, they need to wait or they need to come back, right? And then baby number 3, my mom was out of the country. Girl, I had no visitors. So people visited at the hospital, but it was just people that were like, oh, her mom is not here. I want to be there, right? But it wasn't like the whole village coming through. And so and then by the time I went back to my house, and I lived all the way in Auburn, people will call and schedule, but like, how about it? We can go to my coffee, and I felt better. Like I was sleep, and I was like, why do I feel different? I thought having a third child was like, it has a weight on your body, but I recovered faster. Like I went back to work within like weeks, and that's another story. But I felt good. I was able to do things. I knew what postpartum felt like. I knew what depression felt like, and I knew that I didn't want to get back into those spaces. And so like I was able to like recover and bounce back a lot better than baby number 1 and 2.
It's really good.
Yeah.
So with that, this is what I want to say. This is what I tell my clients, right? Like the first 2 weeks, you don't go out the house. The first week, all you do is sleep and nurse your baby. Like stay in your room.
Right.
Second week you can come out into the living room. You know what I mean? Because getting rest early on has like so much to do with how well you heal later on, right? So just with you know the placenta, right? The placenta, depending on, it's usually a good size, right? Depending on like you have a womb, like a wound like that in your uterus, the size of the placenta. You're healing from that wound, right? And we always say, like, if you have that wound on your leg, what would you do? You rest.
You'd rest it.
Right? Like, if it's visible, you rest, you whatever. Imagine having that wound and just not getting any rest. And then you have all these hormones in your body, right? You have a baby that's crying, like, you know, that you have to adjust to, you know, and all that stuff. So people, friends and family, like, if you want to come and bring something for the person to eat. Sign for the meal train, right? For those 2 weeks. You literally like just knock the door, leave it, and then go. Don't expect to come in, you know? And just give this mom a chance to rest. And if she has other kids, take the kids from her, you know, instead of you coming in sitting for her. Because resting has so much, you know, good for the mom's, you know, overall healing. So yeah, but this is, I totally understand about our community, just, and you know, our moms feeling ashamed because you know, like, and you can't be in your room and things like that. But just understand the person needs to just be by themselves, and you don't have to tell people you're birthing too if you cannot, you know, avoid that. So that way you can just, you know, prolong the visits and stuff. But yeah, resting as much as you can.
And I feel like having like people tell you, like, here's what you need to do. Again, keep going back to like the OB experience. We didn't have a conversation. Like, I remember I was 2 days before I gave birth, I went in and she's like, okay, well, you know, expect this and this during the birth, but nobody prepares you for after birth, right? No one told me the conversation. So me, being completely honest, when I gave birth, I treated it like a vacation. Like, I'm off 6-8 weeks, the baby's sleeping, I want to watch a movie, you know, like, she's finally down, quiet, I want to watch TV, you know, I want to catch up on this, I want to check my notifications. But it's like, I wish I didn't. Like, I wish I took the time to be like, oh, she's sleeping? Okay, well, let me sleep too. You know, this is not a vacation. It's a healing process, right? So it's just a lot to learn.
For me, it was a little bit different because I'm married to an Oromo person. So my mother-in-law, like, is so strict with postpartum healing. She didn't allow me to leave the room, my bedroom. And she cooked for me for a whole month. And the day that people are supposed to see you is the day party. That's the day everybody sees you. That's the culture.
Wow.
That's the culture.
Wow.
So, like, even her and my mom went at it when too many people were coming to the house. She was like, this needs to stop. Because she wants to see her after the 40-day party. Everybody can see her. Everybody can see the baby.
Which is awesome because you're like at your best.
So
your
for
baby's
them,
stronger.
So like
baby's
that
stronger
day
too.
for them basically is like Lion King, you know, like
Yeah.
like, basically that.
We need to do that in our community.
We do.
We used to back home.
Wow.
Yeah. There is like, I know there's a 40-day party, right? But I mean, you saw me day one in the hospital, and then you saw me get a week later, and then, you know, and here you are 40 days. It's not like a big reveal, you know? And, you know, you're swollen. And I just remember, I just felt so self-conscious. And then they ask you, like,
Ask you questions.
Like, people, like, friends and family was one thing, and, you know, friends of the family is another thing, but you have, like, you know, random friends that you've known once upon a time, and they're asking you, like, are you breastfeeding? Your baby's so small, your baby's so this. And you're like, I'm trying to breastfeed, like, give me some space. I'm trying to do this. So, like, in our culture, we're also all up in everybody's business. So,
that we don't even get the time to heal.
So it's a lot. So we don't just come and visit, we come with questions, and we're comparing, and we're looking at baby characteristics. And
like someone, what is it, the placenta thing when you have, I can't think of it right now. When people have high blood pressure and protein in the urine and preeclampsia. So when people have, you hear someone, a small person had preeclampsia, and she's telling you her birth story. Oh yeah, I had that too. No problem. You put
lack of compassion, right? Lack of compassion.
I don't be trying to lie. I know you were going through it when you had preeclampsia.
It's this woman's
too much.
you know. Same thing with like story sharing at birth. You know, don't belittle her experience.
Exactly.
Like everybody, just be quiet with your birth stories.
Like
yours could have been 4 hours. Let it be.
So as visitors, what should we do? No,
I think it's important that you show love, right? I think for somebody who's going through postpartum, it's important that she feels like well supported, and that her husband and like her family and friends like have a role in her life, right? Because like when you give birth, that's when you're like, where's my people? Right? But at the same time, like be sensitive to like her needs. Like ask her, you know, like, hey, I know you just gave birth. Like, how can I be there for you? It could be a phone call, or it could be I'll come visit you in 10 days, right? Like I think we don't give each other the space to ask each other, how do you want support? What we do is we just show up, right? And so I think it's important that we just ask, like, hey, I know you're tired. I know you just gave birth, but I want to let you know that I'm here for you. I don't feel like we ask. We just show up.
And then we comment about everything.
That's right.
So just be sensitive, like Allah. Like I gained weight. And then we or like your neck, right? Like I have I get these moments when I'm pregnant and I have like these dark lines, and I'd be like, oh, habre, cooked with my baking soda. Oh no! Do this, do that. So they're very insensitive, right? So keep your skincare, body care comments to yourself.
And then the baby too. They make comments about your baby, and you're just like, leave her head alone. Like that head shape. We're working on it.
From parenting to how you should look. Like my daughter, I refused. My first child, I did not give her formula. Right? I'm at my mom's house. I'm going through this postpartum thing. I'm not feeling good. It takes a lot for me to breastfeed, and my daughter couldn't latch. So I had the lactation nurse over all the time. I have like a little nipple shield, and my nipple ripped like on the side. So it was so I was going through so much with my breastfeeding that I was still committed. Right? Like I'm giving her the nutrients, everything that she needs, and my mom and the neighbors are like, go do I straight up. Y'all can hear me.
Yeah, I have people tell me that.
No, go back to them. Hasi sahabadan. And I'm like, how about I just give her breastfeed? La ilaha illallah.
Yeah.
Why cause that's why she's not sleeping. That's why she's fussy.
Yeah.
And so like you're always questioning like research one, like well, you know, and then also like my parenting, like what I'm doing is not good enough. I'm tired and like I put effort and time.
Yeah.
So baby number 2, I internalized that. Baby number 2, I gave her formula at the hospital.
Yeah.
I told the nurse, don't tell me. I need a bottle of Similac.
But then the nurses aren't welcoming either.
They're not
like they
welcoming
just
either.
like I remember giving birth. Like I was like I'm tired, and just being a first time mom, you know, like the breastfeeding is just I thought it was like, oh here, let me breastfeed my baby, you know.
You know you have to hold them like that.
You gotta hold like this, you know, the ribbing, the milk, like it's just so in the healing and it's so much. And I'm just like, can I just get a bottle? 'Cause you got like 15 women in here, and I don't want to bring out my bills. I'm like, can I get a bottle? And they just don't even support that. It's like, no, put her on the, and I'm like, no, can I just get a bottle?
Yeah.
You know?
I do respect a little bit with my first daughter, and I breastfed her like for 6 months straight. And I knew like the benefits of breastfeeding. It hurt because they were persistent. Like I remember my nurse saying, I know when we talked about your feeding plan that you said that you exclusively wanted to breastfeed, and like I just want to remind you if that is still what you want to do. Like, is that what you want to do, right? And so you're right. There should be a balance between being pushy and saying no, like we, the nurse and provider, know what's best for your child, versus I know you really hold this to a high value, and I know it's hard, and I know that you're in pain. Try it again. I feel like if you're not getting that encouragement from the nurses and providers, it is easy. I grabbed a bottle of the second baby. I was like, listen, I know this is beneficial, but I'm tired. And she was just like, okay, all right.
I'm tired. And it's painful.
See,
And it is painful.
So what I wanted to say is I wanted to go back like what the visitors can do, right? Like I was saying earlier, cooking for the mom.
Yeah.
Just have somebody sign up to cook. It's really, really helpful. I'm telling you, like cook for the mom. Like, you know, like if you guys are tight knit friends, you know, like there are different apps like Meal Train, whatever. Sign something. Like the moment the person will text, you know, somebody close to her will say, Sarah had the baby, and everybody will just like, you know, stuck up like whatever, you know. And then the other thing is, you know, asking her out. Like when she's been in, you know, because when you're home, sometimes you feel like your friend's doing things, nobody's asking you out. So ask her out for coffee for a couple hours, you know, like this is after she's rested, milk established, and all that stuff. And then instead of just bringing baby clothes to her, give her gift cards.
Or self-care.
Gift cards that she can do things with, you know? And moms always say, it's all about the baby. I remember I gave something to this mom, and she was like, oh my God, it's the first gift I'm getting from me. Like, I've been just, you know, so things like that. And when you go to visit, keep your mouth to yourself. Like, do not comment about how she looks. Don't comment about how the baby looks.
If she looks good, let her know. At least if you're going to say something positive. Girl,
if not, keep it, you know?